Hello and welcome to History on the Hoof. Today we're at Streetgate, just below Malham Tarn, and we're going to look at a burial mound at the head of the valley on Seaty Hill, overlooking the Craven Hills and Ribblesdale. If you've walked up from Goredale to the Tarn, you will have passed the site, possibly without seeing it on the right-hand side of the path. The mound is approximately 20 metres or 66 feet in diameter and is surrounded by a bank and ditch. The mound itself survives to about 3 feet or a metre above ground level. It was excavated by Arthur Raestrick in 1950-51, and in the centre he found a smaller mound around 15 feet in diameter. Within it, 2 circular holes had been dug into the ground level, one slightly overlapping the other. In the northwesterly hole was a skeleton in a sitting position, its knees up to its chin. The second hole, which it faced, was empty, except for a carefully built cairn of limestone boulders. No artefacts were found in either hole with a skeleton or amongst the limestone, and a tentative Bronze Age date was assigned of between 3,500 and 4,500 years ago. Above this primary burial, a larger mound had been overlain, and Raestrick found at least 13 other burials. The shallow, scooped graves in the surface of the burial mound only contained pieces of skeletons, a few of the larger limb bones, odd ribs, a few bones of the hands and feet, fragments of a skull or jaw, and 7 teeth. Vertebrae were entirely absent, suggesting to him that excarnation via natural means left out for the birds or animals or the weather to take off the flesh, had taken place before interment, and that some bones had been specially chosen. Or, perhaps more mundanely, it could have been animal disturbance. The burials were shallow, and it had been disturbed by rodents and heavily grazed by cattle. He did notice that there was some evidence that the limb bones had been placed approximately in a crouched position. He also says that many of the larger bones, for example a shin bone, were broken, and there were evidence for many cut and pointed bone pieces which showed usage and wear and were possibly from earlier skeletons. Very unfortunately, there are no recorded plans or photographs. Artefacts were recovered from these interments: knife fragments by the knees of 2 burials, a single bead in each of 3 burials, one of polished jet, one of carved limonite, and the third a white glass one with a band of blue glass inlay. Scattered in among were also more iron and pottery fragments. Most interestingly, one of these secondary burials lay almost over the original central Bronze Age one, as though it had been put there first of the 13. Buried between the knees of the partial skeleton was an iron knife and a bone flute, with also some bones of the hand and wrist. The flute was made from a sheep tibia, about 12 centimetres or 5 inches long, with 3 holes, and showed teeth marks where it had been held in the mouth. Raestrick dated these secondary, scattered partial burials as Iron Age, about 2,500 years old, which made the flute, or pipe, the oldest musical instrument ever found in the UK. Sadly, the whereabouts of the human remains, pottery, knife fragments and beads are unknown. However, the pipe survived and is currently on display in Leeds City Museum. A copy was made and played. Recently, Raestrick's dating has rightly been called into question, and there is strong evidence to suggest that rather than an Iron Age date, the secondary burials were Anglo-Saxon, inserted 1,500 years ago or so into what was then an ancient burial mound. So, the next time you walk up by Seaty Hill, take a detour and think about the ancient flute player, buried there with his or her pipe, left to play for all eternity. Thanks for listening to this episode of History on the Hoof, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.